Ooh, guys, I tried to not pay attention to social media this weekend, but from what I hear, it wasn't a good look for Sig. We're going to get into it. All right, guys, welcome back. Listen, over Friday, I think it started on Friday, the decision was made by somebody over at Sig's social media team to make a post. I'm not going to share the post. I'm sure you all have seen the post by now, but it was a post with a picture of the Sig P320 with a title of The Truth About the P320. And then it was a lot of words, and it ends with, "It ends today." And guys, it is a horrible look. I hate to use the word the kids use these days called cringe, but it was a cringe-worthy post. Here's the deal, folks. Here is my Sig P320, okay? This Sig P320 has gone to the range and fired many of rounds. Now, I actually used this P320 last year when the 365 macro had a failure while I was up at Sig. But here's the deal, guys, and I'm not going to tell you that I don't like Sig. I do like Sig's brand. I have this. I have their regulator, their ranch rifle. Not to mention my everyday carry is a macro, an X macro. But what they did is what bothers me. They made a post that did not need to be made. They said something they really didn't have to say. And I'm not saying they didn't have to say it because there aren't problems. We can't hide the fact that there are problems with the P320 for some. While I can say it is not a problem for me, I'm one person in a sea of millions that probably own this firearm. This firearm was brought to the market in 2015, I believe, and I got my hands on one of the first ones back in the day when I went down to film and to shoot with Viking Tactics, and it was when Kyle Lamb had just gone over to Sig. I got to shoot it, and I quickly fell in love with that firearm. I was coming from an M&P, and I moved to Sig's. It is not my first Sig. My first Sig was the first firearm I ever owned was a Sig P2340. I'm sorry, a 2340 back, I can't even remember when that was, in the early 90s. I can't say that I am a Sig boy, if you will, or a lover of Sig. I mean, I love my M&P and I love my Glock just as much. I love the brand. I respect the Sig brand, but the decision they made on Friday to go ahead and make a statement like that had pretty definitive language in it, when the internet is out there to prove people wrong, or in this case, to prove Sig wrong, it's just a bad look. And I'm hoping that this was an overzealous social media person who is probably on LinkedIn today looking for a job, because they made this statement. Over the weekend, I watched these posts, and the only comment I could make was, I'm really thinking that this is not going the way that they hoped it would go, because they couldn't have hoped it would go this way. That post that went out on Friday has been viewed 4.7 million times. And what I can tell you is that I'm sure the topic of Sig and P320 within this space, within this community, was talked about at length over the weekend. I know that I spoke about it with Jamie, the co-host over at ZERT Coffee and Chaos, and we talked about it. You can't ignore that there is a problem with this firearm for some people. There is video of this firearm going off in a holster with nobody touching it. Now, what I can't say, and I don't know who can, is there was nothing done to the firearms that are going off in the holster without anybody touching it. I can't say that that person, that police officer, whoever it was, did not do some kind of Dremel gunsmithing. I can't say that. But it doesn't matter because the firearm is in a holster, nobody's touching it, and it does discharge a round. It is going to have to be fought out in court, and it is going to have to be proved. I think there's over 7 lawsuits right now against the company and this firearm. I'm sorry that SIG doesn't want to wait for those resolutions, but I feel it's their only vindication is if these 7 lawsuits prove to be false and there was something else as the cause of this situation. It doesn't look good at all. The internet is not one to forget. There are people out there, you know, you've got your Tim Kennedys with your 50 Shades of Grenades, you've got your Garanthams with whatever crap that he went through, and they tend to die down. Well, not so much Tim Kennedy, but the others, they tend to die down when you say nothing. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the possible outcome for SIG. This is a firearm that people are carrying, buying, thinking about buying. Police departments have them as their duty weapon. Obviously, the M17 is, they won the contract for the military with that. So it is a much larger scope and a much larger scale where they are going to have to really figure out some steps going forward. Will this kill SIG? I don't think so, but it is just not a good look. And making a post as of this morning, Monday morning, making a post today to try and move past it, you are not going to be received well from the internet. The internet is an unforgiving place, and I hope that somebody over at SIG does some damage control here and fixes this because, like I said, I've got respect for the brand and for the platform, and I want to see them succeed, but there is a problem. And I can take this firearm to the range this week and we can shoot it all day long, but that still just makes me one person testing one firearm, and that is not going to cut it. So until next time, guys, you stay safe, stay prepared, and we'll talk to you soon. ZP002 out.